The polar vortex is going to become unstable gradually as we go through the rest of November and into December with a stratospheric warming event that is likely to take place. And that could bring a cold December and snowy December to the United States. We're going to highlight all that you need to know in this forecast, including short-term severe weather this week and where those severe storms could be setting up. We're going to be highlighting that as well in this video. So make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. We cover Canada, the United States, and the tropics during tropical weather season. You're already a subscriber, like the video, share it, hype it. I appreciate it. Even if you are not a subscriber, first subscribe to the channel, turn on the post notification bell to all so you get all my videos and live streams on this channel. Also like the video there as well, share it, hype it. I do appreciate it. So let's get into the forecast. And the seasonal snowfall here so far to date across the United States has really been highlighted by the mountainous areas out west. The lake effect snow has been a big player as well here on the playing field over the last couple of weeks, and that could lead to a colder December overall with the polar vortex in the mix. We're going to get to that forecast here in just a few minutes, but let's look at the short term because we do have a low pressure system developing in the southern plains over the next 24 to 48 hours, and this could bring some thunderstorm activity and some heavy rainfall as well across the southern plains over that time frame through your Friday morning. And some of this rainfall could be coming down at a pretty good clip, so flooding could be an issue as we go through the Friday morning time frame, and then heading through the weekend that system will crawl out across the southeast and losing a lot of its moisture as well as it moves across the Tennessee Valley, the Carolinas, and Virginia going into Saturday and into Sunday. Now looking here at the severe weather threat, the Storm Prediction Center, centered in Norman, Oklahoma, which is also included in the severe weather risk, is a marginal risk of severe weather extending up into portions of southwestern Missouri, southeastern Kansas, much of east central Oklahoma, western Arkansas, and much of Texas, even southeastern New Mexico included in that. And there is a chance for tornadoes, although it is a low chance. It's a chance nonetheless that we have to pay attention to. A 2% chance of tornadoes here west of DFW into more of central and southwest Texas as we go into the afternoon and the evening. So breaking it down for you, here at noon, we are seeing some drizzle out there, perhaps a couple thunderstorms trying to pop up in very isolated formation. But as we go into the afternoon, we're going to see those storms begin to bubble up. Again, remaining isolated, but a severe thunderstorm or two cannot be ruled out. I think the main threats will be damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour, quarter-size hail, but we cannot rule out an isolated tornado as noted with that 2% chance we just showed you from central Texas into southwest Texas. But I do feel a lot of these storms won't be popping up till after dark, so that tells me the severe weather threat will be going down very quickly and the heavy rainfall threat will be going up because the low-level jet is going to increase, and that's going to pump in all the moisture you need for a heavy rain flooding setup across the southern plains as we go through Thursday. And notice Thursday, very heavy rain moving over a lot of the same areas that could cause a flooding risk. So looking here at the United States in general, across central Texas, north Texas, and then getting into Oklahoma and Arkansas, that looks to be the corridor where we could potentially be seeing 2 to 4 inches of rainfall in a short amount of time, with a lot of that coming between tonight and your Thursday afternoon, and some of that even lingering into Thursday night, but a lot of it happening over the next 24 hours, and that could cause some flooding. Slight risk for flooding here does include big cities of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Tulsa, Little Rock, up to Jonesboro there, even into portions of Missouri, including the Joplin region, in that slight risk for flash flooding. Outside of that, we have a marginal risk that extends over into Kentucky, Tennessee, or as far west as eastern portions of Colorado, Kansas, and western Oklahoma as we go through your day on Thursday. So this is the Thursday flood outlook. And looking at the snowfall here, not a lot of cold air to work with outside of the mountainous areas out west, so I do feel a lot of this is going to be liquid precipitation through this week, taking you through Monday, November 24th, looking here at the southern Rockies, getting some more snow, the Sierras, but the main snow track will be to the north into Canada, especially British Columbia, that could get pummeled with some more snow, feet of snow, by the way, going through this weekend. Looking here at the low levels, we have a lot of calm wind across the Midwest Ohio Valley, and last couple of days we've seen a lot of low clouds and a lot of fog here near near the ground, which is called ground fog, and we could see that again as we go into the afternoon. Notice some of that fog is lifting, still patchy at times into the afternoon, but once we get towards sunset, those light winds, the low-level moisture here, any moisture in the ground, will go to work at producing some ground fog again as we go into the evening overnight hours. So Thursday morning, again, take it slow. If you are seeing some dense fog out there, make sure to leave plenty of time to get to your destination and plenty of room between you and the car in front of you as well. Very important going into Thursday morning. Looking at our temperatures for the rest of this week, looking pretty mild up and through Monday, November 24th. More records being broken near the Gulf Coast, and I sound probably like a broken record because this is literally what we've been seeing for the past few days. That is literally what we're going to be seeing over the next few days, and you can see for this afternoon, more 80s along the Gulf Coast, and that means more records. We're going to see that again for the Southeast from Mississippi all the way to South Carolina on Thursday, tomorrow. Friday, mostly Georgia, but some outside areas there near the coast could see some records broken. Saturday, more records broken, and guess what? Sunday, Southwest Georgia, another record could be broken. So right straight through the weekend, going to see some really warm temperatures, and these are long-standing records, 25, 50, 75 years. So this is some pretty warm air. To the north, we're going to be seeing throughout the week more seasonable to slightly below normal temperatures, especially up there near the lakes where we've seen a lot of lake effect snow, snowpack keeping us a little bit colder, the New England region as well, snowpack keeping us a little bit colder over the next few days. Now let's take you to the stratosphere about 20 miles up ahead of, above the Earth's surface, and we see sudden stratospheric warming taking place already this week, and that is going to continue into Thanksgiving week. In fact, an even stronger push of warm air in the stratosphere is ticketed for Thanksgiving and then post-Thanksgiving through the rest of November. What that looks like here, remember last November, we saw a cool east and a very warm, record-breaking warm west, and that was pretty interesting because as we go here into the December of 2013, we actually saw the similar ingredients that we had that we're seeing this year for the polar vortex, right? We had the warming going on in the stratosphere that sent a big lobe of the polar vortex down into Canada, and the northern U.S. saw some really cold air for that month of December. In fact, most of the U.S. for December of 2013 ended up below normal outside of a southeast ridge that did keep us a little bit warmer across the Carolinas, Georgia, and Florida. Now, looking here at it for the rest of November, the setup is as such. We have a ridge up here across Alaska, up toward the Arctic Circle, makes sense with the sudden stratospheric warming happening. Then you start to see the colder air, and it's a little bit more elongated here from the southern prairies of Canada up here into portions just south of Greenland. And that tells me that the northern United States will be most prone to the cold air to round out the month of November. A little bit of a southeast ridge here, much like we saw in 2013. A little bit of a positive PNA or neutral PNA down here into the southwest, giving us some near normal to above normal temperatures. So that is what we're looking at here. I think the colder air will start here south of Alaska into the northeast Pacific, bleeding, oozing into British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and then kind of oozing eastward across the northern tier of the U.S. And some of this could be enhanced by our lake effect snowpack across the Great Lakes. And then over here to the New England region where we've seen some snow, some of that colder air could be a little bit more enhanced for the last few days of November. Does look pretty active as well through the rest of this month. I think another large-scale storm system is possible across the central or at least the south central United States, and that potentially could bring some interesting weather to the east as we go through Thanksgiving week. So here's the European model for Thanksgiving week. Notice we have a lot of moisture moving northward. Snow is further to the north, as we just mentioned. Areas most prone to the cold will be southern Canada and the northern tier of the U.S. That'll be the most likely area for snow. Rainfall, heavy rain potentially, and severe weather further south of the Ohio River to the Gulf Coast will be possible with that system. That could be leading up to Thanksgiving, so watching out for that in Thanksgiving travel. And then looking at post-Thanksgiving, I think it's pretty dry until we get to around the 30th or 1st there, and that's where we could have another messy system with some ice even in the mix there, according to the European European model in the Midwest. The GFS here is pretty similar, although a little bit more progressive. It doesn't really connect those two systems. There's two systems there, one in Canada, more like a clipper system, and then you have moisture moving northward. They don't really phase together until it reaches eastern Canada. So maybe some heavier snow there on the GFS if it verifies for Quebec or Maine again. A lot of the coastal areas could see rain. Dry behind it, so that is good in agreement with the European and GFS models. And then we have another system coming in, although further south, with a more messy look again with the snow, the sleet, freezing rain, rain further south. We'll have to keep an eye on that as we go towards the 1st of December. So overall, looking at the European model through December 1st, this is between the 24th, by the way, next Monday, through the 1st, and this is where the snow track is lining up across the southern Canadian prairies. So if you have any friends to the north that live in Alberta, Saskatchewan, southern Manitoba, especially over here through much of the province of Ontario, Quebec, you're going to love the snow. If you're cold and snow lovers, you're going to get some of that as we go through the rest of the month. Some snow into the upper Midwest, Great Lakes region could have more hefty lake effect snow bands according to the European model, and then more mountain snow out west. GFS model is very much in agreement, although further south with a lot of this, especially the mountain snow a little bit further south here across the central plains into the lower part of the Midwest with the snow, and it's a little further east with the snow here across eastern Canada. So Ontario, Quebec with that snow, a little bit less across southern Canada as we go through the rest of November. But nonetheless, the cold air is what we're really going to be keeping an eye on with that polar vortex, because if a lobe of the polar vortex gets broken off and sent into Canada, this could bring some really cold air down into the central and eastern U.S. So the first 7 days of December, that's what we could see here in the east, is a cold push of air behind whatever storm system we see post-Thanksgiving. That will bring a cold front through. It's going to bring some colder air, obviously, and then a little bit milder air in western Canada and the Pacific Northwest. And then once we get into the second week of December, I think a lot of the lower 48 will start to be below normal with our temperatures and more wintry like. And then once we get into the second half of December, here is the result of our sudden stratospheric warming event, where we really start to see that cold air oozing down. And this isn't just cold air. This could be dangerously cold air with a lot of those negative temperatures, especially for feel-like temperatures there into the heartland of the country. And that could lead up all the way to the holidays, Christmas, and even New Year's Eve, before we start to moderate those temperature trends once again. So it's a step-down process with the snow. It's not an overnight snow setup. And I get all these comments all the time that people are saying, well, it's winter. I get it's winter, folks. I'm just giving you a forecast on the temperatures and the snowfall. So looking at the snow, it's a forecast. It's not a guarantee that we're going to see snow in Texas like it's showing here. But between now and the middle of December, I do feel there is a chance for snow in some parts of the South. But notice the big jump from mid-December through January, and you can see that snow line getting a little bit more thick across the north and moving further south there into the southern states. So yes, there will be likely some southern snow as we go through the rest of December, especially if we can get that push of colder air further to the south. So that is the weather forecast that I have for you on this Wednesday, November 19th of 2025. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, turn on the post notification bell to all so you get all my videos, live streams. We cover Canada, the United States, the tropics. Like the video, give it a thumbs up, share it, hype it. I appreciate it. Thank you all for watching, folks, and have a wonderful, safe rest of your Wednesday out there.